History, eh? Full of surprises. Massive, world-changing events often start with something totally ridiculous, like a dropped ice cream cone or a mispronounced name at a party. Okay, maybe not those exactly, but you get the idea. World wars, for example, those colossal brawls that reshaped the globe, they had their own silly little triggers. World War I, oh boy, that one's a classic. Picture this, a sunny day in Sarajevo, 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand is riding around in his car. Little did he know this joyride was about to turn into a very unfortunate wrong turn. In the case of World War I, that spark came in the form of a rather unfortunate assassination. History often has a strange and hilarious way of unfolding. The early 20th century in Europe was a tense time. Countries were like nervous teenagers at a school dance, eyeing each other up, forming alliances, and generally spoiling for a fight. The Balkans in particular were a real hotbed of unrest. It was like everyone there had just finished playing a game of Monopoly and were now arguing over who owed who a tenner. You see, this region was a melting pot of different ethnicities, religions, and political ambitions, all crammed together in a relatively small space. It was a recipe for disaster, and everyone seemed to be holding a match. The Ottoman Empire, once a major power, was crumbling faster than a stale croissant. Austria-Hungary, on the other hand, was trying desperately to hold on to its own crumbling empire, like a man clinging to the last few strands of hair on his head. And then there were the smaller nations, like Serbia, eager to break free and carve out their own destinies. Now back to our friend Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Picture him, if you will, as a slightly pompous but ultimately harmless uncle who just wanted to have a nice day out. He decides to visit Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia, which Austria-Hungary had recently annexed, much to Serbia's displeasure. It wasn't the wisest of moves, kind of like wearing a kick-me sign to a biker bar. The assassination attempt itself was a comedy of errors. The first attempt failed when a bomb meant for the Archduke's car bounced off and exploded under a different vehicle. Talk about bad aim. Later that day, Ferdinand decided to visit the injured from the earlier bombing, a kind gesture, but as it turned out, a fatal one. On the way there, the Archduke's driver took a wrong turn, ending up right in front of Gavrilo Princip, one of the assassins who had failed earlier. Princip, who probably couldn't believe his luck, whipped out his pistol and fired 2 shots, killing both the Archduke and his wife Sophie. And that, my friends, was the spark that lit the powder keg. Treaties and tangled webs, the Treaty of Versailles. World War I was a messy affair, wasn't it? After 4 long years of trench warfare, the war finally ended in 1918. Millions lay dead, empires had crumbled, and Europe was in ruins. The victors, eager to punish Germany, imposed the Treaty of Versailles. The treaty was harsh and humiliating for Germany. They were forced to accept blame, give up territory, disarm, and pay reparations. It created new issues, breeding resentment and instability in Germany. The rise of the mustache Hitler and his grudges. In the aftermath of World War I, a disgruntled Austrian art school reject with a Charlie Chaplin mustache was making his way through the ranks of a fledgling political movement in Germany, the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or Nazi Party for short. This man, of course, was Adolf Hitler. Fueled by resentment over the Treaty of Versailles, a burning ambition, and, let's face it, probably a lack of decent career counseling, Hitler found a receptive audience in a demoralized and economically devastated Germany. He offered scapegoats, promises of national restoration, and a healthy dose of fear-mongering. Hitler's rise to power was a series of calculated moves and missed opportunities by other European leaders who, frankly, probably had their hands full trying to figure out what to do with all the leftover war debt. They underestimated his ambition, misjudged his ruthlessness, and failed to recognize the danger he posed until it was far too late. World War II, the sequel nobody wanted. In 1939, after years of escalating tensions and broken promises, Hitler, feeling bold and perhaps a tad overconfident, invaded Poland. This time, the world had had enough. World War II had begun. World War II was a global conflict on an unprecedented scale, with battles fought across continents, from the beaches of Normandy to the deserts of North Africa and the jungles of the Pacific. It was a war that saw unimaginable atrocities, the rise of superpowers, and the dawn of the atomic age. The world learned a hard lesson from those 2 devastating wars. Sometimes the smallest spark can indeed ignite the biggest fires. And while we can find humor in the absurdity of it all, it's crucial to remember the lessons of the past. Because, as we all know, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it, and nobody wants a World War III.